Hello and welcome back to Infinitude. This is the Vue Fundamental Series Part 8, in which we will dive into form handling. Let's dive into the VS Code. At first, let's create a new component. Just go to the component and then click New File. And then let's give it a name, form handling.vue. And I will use the Vue snippet, that is Vue.js. And then let's give it a name, that is form handling. We'll just delete this style and let's create a data function, data, just comma over here, data function, and then return the data. And over here we will create a h1 tag and let's give form handling, and then we will register this. Let's just go to app.vue, and then at first I will comment out. Let's use the Vue snippet, and over here from handling slash components, and then form handling. I'll just copy this. Let's register this and then create a custom tag. And now let's run the server, that is control and tilde. I'll just move this down and then npm run serve. If you are using yarn, then type yarn serve. I'll just copy this, go to browser and then paste. Here we can see the form handling, that is our h1 tag. That is our h1 tag. And then let's go to the VS Code. I will just click this and then let's go to form handling. At first, let's create a label. Just enter and then give it a name, that is full name, and then we will create a input tag, and then I will just Vue model and then give it a name, that is full name, and then let's define this full name instance, full name, and then let's initialize with the empty string. And then what I will do is I will just use the br, and then let's create another label and give it a name, that is email ID, and then let's create an input tag, and then where we will use the Vue model, that is Vue model, and let's give email, and let's create an email instance, and let's give it an empty string, and then I will create another instance, that is description. What I will do is I will just double click and then copy. Let's use the br, and then let's create another label, that is description, and then this time I will use the text area, and then let's just use the Vue model and then paste that description. Just use the br, and then this time I will use the label for the gender, and then for gender we will be using the input, but we will use the type, that is radio button, and let's define the value, that is male, and then we will use the model, and then we will define gender. Let's create another label and give it a name that is male. And then let's just create another input, and then for this we will use the value, we'll use the value that is female, and then Vue model that is gender. Let's go to the data, and then we will create a gender instance, empty string, and over here let's give it a label that is female. Now let's create another label that is account access for, and then this time we will use the select option, and let's give it a Vue model, and then we will define months. Let's create a options. For this we'll just use the empty, and then let's disable this, and please select. If we are using the disable, then it will disable this option. Let's create another option, and let's give it a 1. I will just use the Alt and Shift to duplicate this option. Let's change it to 2, and then 2, 3, 3, and then I will use the BR. Normally we create different labels and inputs inside a div, but since we are using the form handling, we will use the submit event handling. For this we need to have the form tag, so let's cut all of this, use the Control or Command and then X, and then I will define a form, and then inside this we will just paste the code, and then I will just format this, and inside this form I will delete the action and then create @submit, and then I will use the prevent. This will prevent the default behavior, that is, it will reload the application, and then let's create a method that is on submit. I will just create a input at the end of the selection, that is input, and then we will define a type that is submit, and then value that is submit. I'll just copy this on submit, and then let's create a method. Methods, and inside this method I will just paste on submit and then parenthesis and curly braces, and then inside this I will create let data equals to, and then I will define that is name colon this dot full name. I have forgot to create the instance of month, so let's create that. Okay, now just comma, and then I will use the email colon this dot email. Let's create another key, that is description, that is this dot description, and then gender this dot gender, and at last months this dot months. And then what I will do is I will just console this data. If you are using the API calls, then you can collect this data and post back to the API. But for this tutorial, I will just console this data, console log parentheses, and what I will do is just data check, and then comma, and then data. Now let's go to the browser. Let's change this input to radio. Let's go to the code, and then here radio. Let's save this. What I'll do is I will use this BR over here, and then let's go to the browser. I will create a heading for this selection. Let's go to the browser, and we will create a heading for this. Oh, I'll just grab this and then paste over here. Okay, let's go to the browser, and then I will use the BR over here. Now let's go to the browser. Now it looks quite okay. Let's open up the console, and then I will type the full name, that is I will use just the Infinitude YouTube channel, and then email ID, maybe just for the demo purpose, test@gmail.com, and then I will use the description, test description of Infinitude, and then let's choose the mail, and then maybe the account access for 3, and then when I will press the submit button, we can see the data in our console. Let's press the submit. Let's submit. Okay, let's go to the VS Code. Okay, over here I forgot to put the submit T. Let's go to the browser. Now I will just refresh this, and I will type again with the full name, that is Infinitude, Infinitude YouTube channel, and then email ID, that is just test@gmail.com, and the description, test description of Infinitude, and then maybe mail, and then let's choose the 3, and then when I press the submit button, we will see the data in our console. Okay, here we can see our datas, that is name, Infinitude YouTube channel, month 3, gender male, email, that is just the test@gmail.com, that is a dummy one, and then our description. By this way, we can use the form handling and gather the data from the form and submit the form data to our API, or even we can save this data if you are using the local database. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked the Vue Fundamental series. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more tutorials.